What's going on, guys? It's Ben, and today we're going to be reviewing the PRS Silver Sky Maple Neck in Dodge and Blue. We're going to be comparing that to my 2016 Fender American Special Stratocaster in Sonic Blue, and we're also going to be comparing the quality of the Silver Sky to my 2015 Fender Custom Shop Postmodern Telecaster in Sunburst. Let's get right into it. Let's start with the PRS Silver Sky. This is a 2020 PRS Silver Sky. It's got the maple neck with the hollow bird inlays. It's got 22 vintage style frets on it. There's no spring cover at the back, as John Mayer likes it. The neck plate is all black, it's like a satin black. And the difference on the maple model is the back of the neck is all satin. There's no gloss at all compared to the rosewood, which is very much like a vintage style gloss. It's got locking tuners, which I quite like actually. I didn't realise I had them. Like the plastic tuners at the back. The jack is sort of raised a little bit. It's got speed knobs on it. The neck shape that they're calling is the 63.5 JM. So it's quite a chunky neck actually, between the 63 and the 64, I'd say. The pickups, they are John Mayer's own. They're all identical, so each pickup, so the pickup in the bridge is the exact same pickup that goes in the neck, and they are PRS 53.5 JMs. They're quite low output and I really like them. They take gain really well. I'm going to be playing all of these guitars through my Vox AC15 using a bit of the amp reverb, using some of my pedals on my pedal board. So the constant ones will be the Carbon Copy and the MXR Dynacomp. For a little bit of gain we'll be using the TS Mini, maybe some blues driver into that as well for the high gain sort of solo tones. And I've got just a standard Dunlop wah. Obviously the PRS Silver Sky, it's the same scale length as a Strat. It's got synthetic bone nut. The truss rod cover is like a brushed metal. It's made of alder, so it's really light actually, much lighter than my Fender, which is also made of alder. I also like the tremolo arm for the Silver Sky. You don't screw it in like a Fender, you just sort of push it in as like a rubber sort of gripping around where it would be. And yeah, you can hold it anywhere, it stays well, stays tight, and you can kind of move it wherever you want on the body. Facing back, facing forwards, facing up, facing down, whatever you want. But it stays there and it's really good quality actually. They've made a few ergonomic changes on the PRS Silver Sky. The contour has been moved up slightly, which I find really comfortable against the body. There's the classic PRS cutaway here, and if you put them side by side, the PRS has a slightly longer top horn and I find it's a really comfortable guitar to play. And moving on to my 2016 Fender American Special Stratocaster. It's in Sonic Blue. It's got a mint pickguard, which I really like. These are 3 Texas Special pickups. It used to be Custom Shop, but they're not Custom Shop pickups anymore. It has the large 70s headstock, 2 string trees, which I think is surprisingly nice. Actually, it feels really nice to play. It has obviously the modern C-shaped neck, satin finish on the back. It has 22 jumbo frets, which are obviously very different to the Silver Sky. Other than that, it's a classic Strat. As with the Silver Sky, the rear tone knob is put to the bridge pickup, which is the same on the PRS Silver Sky, and this came from factory like that. I've taken the spring cover off on the back just because that's the way I like it. I think it feels more comfortable to me to play. And you can see it's got a skunk stripe down the back. It's got modern style tuners. So this is like the entry level to the American line of Fender guitars. This came with a soft case. They don't make these anymore. I think they're now called the Performers, and I much prefer this. It sounds much more like a vintage Fender. With those Texas Special pickups in, you get the real Stevie Ray Vaughan tones from it. And it's great. They're quite hot pickups, but they're nice. The bridge position is quite trebly, I think. I think those are Texas Specials. They're quite trebly, but they do sound great, and you can get some really great solo tones. I'm not going to be comparing the quality of this compared to the Silver Sky, as the Silver Sky retails for about £2,500 with the maple neck, and this I think was £950. So I'm not going to be comparing the quality because there are a couple of QC issues on this. Namely, the 17th fret chokes out, and I don't know why. On the high, I've done loads of things to try and rectify it, and nothing seems to be doing that. I've moved the bridge all around. I've sort of sanded down the frets a little bit. And there's also a burst somewhere in the bridge that I've really tried to get out with sandpaper, but I keep snapping the high E string, which is the only guitar that's ever really happened to me. On the whole though, this is a great pickup, especially on the used market at the moment. You can get a really good American Special for less than £600. I think they're amazing. And if you're wanting to get that American sort of feeling guitar, because it is definitely a step up from the Mexican, you can get one of these pretty decently on, I don't know, reverb. Now, I'm going to be comparing the quality of my Custom Shop Telecaster to the quality of the Silver Sky, because there's not much point comparing tones, as they're obviously very different guitars. I've had this since 2019. I bought it second hand, and there was little to no relicking on this. It was just the finish checking, but I've played it so much that all the finish is worn off here. Obviously the back of the neck was already relicked. I'd say the back of the neck feels quite similar to the Silver Sky, but obviously the Silver Sky doesn't look relict at all, but they're taking all the finish off the back of the Telecaster. In terms of quality, I think they're pretty much identical. I have had no flaws with either of them, literally not a single flaw on the Silver Sky. I spent ages trying to find anything that was off, but there was nothing whatsoever. And I would say it is very much comparable to the Fender Custom Shop in quality, as there's nothing with this guitar at all, and nothing with the Silver Sky. I'd say they're both comparable in terms of quality. The only difference is, however, that with the Custom Shop Fenders, you get the hard case, you get all the case candy, you get the strap, you get the certificate of authenticity, whereas you don't get that with the Silver Sky, which I was a bit bummed about. There's nothing that comes with it, it's just a soft shell case, which is a good quality, but at that price point, you want a hard case. You can pay an extra £175 for one. I'm not going to be doing that. I wouldn't use a hard case enough, but I would like the option to be there. I think, especially if I'm moving around, doing more gigs, which COVID has sort of said no to that. But if I was doing more gigs, I would want a hard case for that guitar. Just especially with its sort of pristine. I want to keep it pristine. I think this one is allowed to be battered. It came up slightly battered, but I think the Silver Sky would look strange relict, personally. Let's start with some of the positives of the Silver Sky. So I really like the 7¼ inch radius. It sits really nicely, and it doesn't choke out whatsoever, as demonstrated in some of the playing demos. I really like the neck carve. I think it's quite unique. It feels similar to a Fender, but quite like a vintage Fender, and the satin neck really does sort of give you some sort of different feel. I really like the ergonomic changes that they did on the Silver Sky, like the jack plate being out so it's easier to put in, the cutaway here. The back cutaway I think is a really good sort of move. It sits very nicely on the body. And I really like personally the headstock. I know people aren't a fan of it, but I quite like the look of it and feel of it. Another plus note I think is the tones. I think you get really good vintage Fender style tones on it. Quite unique actually. I like that they've rolled off the treble of the bridge pickup, so when you're playing on there with gain, it's not really bitey like a normal Strat is. It's a much more usable tone for me, and it is, well, very John Mayer. Moving on to the negatives, personally for me, I do not like the machine heads. I think the plastic machine heads look cheap, even though they feel high quality, but I think they look quite cheap. I understand why they've done it though, but I think I'm not really personally a fan. And I think at this price point, I would be expecting a hard case. I know you can pay £175 more for a hard case, but I don't really fancy doing that. I think as well with the it's definitely a good alternative for like a custom shop Fender. You know, it's really high quality and it sounds vintage, it feels vintage, but it looks much more modern. So for those people that do not like the Silver Sky and haven't tried one, I seriously suggest trying one. They're really nice actually. They're a lot more vintage feeling than you'd expect. One thing I do actually have to say is that while the fretboard is maple, it feels a lot more to me like something like an ebony fretboard. It doesn't feel like a maple fretboard at all. And so if you're thinking about the rosewood, but you already have a rosewood Strat as I do, or you kind of umming and ahhing, I would definitely suggest trying out the maple version. I really like it, and I think it does feel a lot more like an ebony. The lacquer is very thin on top, so it sits really nicely, and obviously with no lacquer on the back, it's really nice. So I would seriously suggest trying one out if you're thinking of buying one. Hi guys, thanks for watching this video. Just to sum it up, they're both very different guitars. They both sound and feel like Strats, but this American Special is much more the late 60s, early 70s style and sound. And this PRS Silver Sky is much more that early 60s sound. They're both lovely guitars, both take gain really well. The PRS obviously has the edge on quality control compared to this standard American Strat. But they're both lovely guitars. So let me know in the comments if you want me to review my 2015 Postmodern Telecaster Custom Shop. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Spotify, follow me on SoundCloud, and follow me on Instagram. That's been all for me. Thanks guys. Take care.